Did you get confused like yesterday? Why did you turn around and say, how do we get to the road closure?
Well, because there was loads of people watching and I didn't want to be arrested.
What, be arrested?
You know I have a fear of being arrested.
Being arrested by what?
The policemen.
What policemen?
The ones that are at the top. You have to be careful, there's lots of police on that top bit. That's probably where they got shouted at.
Get arrested by someone who's illegally camping?
No.
Tell you what, you know when you do
It does seem they've made a good effort to close the road.
They had made a poor effort to close the road. They literally just put a cone out and gone, yeah,
There
don't
was
use
like
this.
5 cones.
Wow.
And I said when we'll drive past James and he'll just be like, just drive near me. And what did you do?
Yeah, just drop it. Well, I just rode.
Anyway, yes, I know where we're going. Is it complicated to find the cafe?
Oh, very complicated, yeah.
Okay.
Put my dancing shoes on today. Give these a whirl out for the OnlyFans.
You're not taking these leg warmers?
No. I'd put.
And you don't want those gloves?
No, by the time I get to the bottom of the hill, it's my fingers are time to take gloves off. It takes 7 minutes to get to the turn.
7 minutes?
Yeah, and then it takes what? An hour and 20 to get to the car.
Ready?
Lead the way. I know what I'm doing. Might not look like it, but I sort of know what I'm doing. Alright, I've got the key, you're not
I've
very
got
like
the
that.
key.
Just rock and roll. Get your steps in.
Yeah.
Brace you. Cue lift music. Cafe riding today, like we said yesterday. We are 50-50 ratio of ride time to cafe time, because when we do cafes properly. Don't do half measures on this channel, do we? We don't mess about here. We're serious. This is a serious YouTube channel. We don't mess around at all. And then you guys have sent us some questions that we're going to do a Q&A from the cafe. I think cafe, I'll just disclaimer, is this is doing this place justice. It's a bloke at the top of a mountain with an espresso machine out of his shed and a few plastic chairs. But it's quite a good recovery ride stop. Because actually when you're at this altitude, there's not actually that far you can go. Surprisingly, there's not that much up here.
Not flat.
It's not flat, so you can only really go... there's a little loop that we're going to do that we did part of yesterday. And yeah, then we're going to ride all the way to the top. So about 2,500 metres. Yeah, but this bloke sells coffee out of
Not
his shed.
climbing today. That's how high we'll be at the calf.
That's how high we'll be at the calf. Yeah. So yeah, we can roll down the hill to about 1750. It takes us about 7 minutes to get to the turn, and it takes about an hour and a half to get to the cafe. We're just slowly riding uphill.
Cruising.
Cruising. And then you'll see me at the side of the road, cry and regret my life choices. So, yeah.
Off we go.
What's the new expression? Go big, regret later. Go big, regret later. Lost the magnet. Oh, it takes a while to get going. It's like, I don't know what it's like actually. I don't know what to compare it to. Like putting
petrol in a diesel car. Don't really want to work.
What are your legs like after yesterday?
Yeah, alright. Opening up a bit now. I'd never find my legs to be the issue. I find my body, like breathing and getting the old heart rate up seems to be the main issue. But we go on. Like, look at that. Effort, mate, that is. That's pure effort leaving the body.
What's he doing today? We're 290
Yeah, so we were sitting at Fat Max here yesterday at like just under 300. Fat Max at like altitude go more off heart rate because altitude will, I guess, adjust your heart rate. So yeah, today just ride steady. Just got to feel more than numbers or heart rate or anything. Just chill. All about enjoying today, they say anyway. Get to find out what it's like.
Got some gizmos on the bike.
Look at this. Got this like bionic arm.
Bringing the content.
Doing it for the OnlyFans. For the shorts fans.
Do you have any alerts on your computer for like eating and drinking or anything?
Not really. I have like climbs and stuff, and then it tells me like how far to go, grade. I'll tell you what it says actually. It says predicted time to the top, how many K, how many altitude meters, heart rate and power. But no, it's alright the computer telling you to eat and drink, but like computer don't know you're in the gutter like this, is it? Like, or if you've ever go, oh right, now's a good time to eat, okay. Then you take like a really dense rice cake and then you turn a corner and it's a 20%er, and then you're like coughing and rice is coming out your nose. And you think, yeah, I just make my own decisions in future. I do like it as an altitude camp location. I mean, altitude camp's never going to be as good as a normal camp in terms of like living and riding, because you're like obviously a lot more restricted with where you can go. But like, I don't know, this seems pretty good. Done Livigno, obviously live in Andorra where you could do an altitude camp. Done this. I'd love to do like, you know, maybe a pre-welter in the Dolomites. That'd be cool. Do like
sleeping at altitude, that's the
yeah.
important part.
Yeah, I think that's the main part. I think to get a hypoxic adaptation, your, if you will, algorithm is height times length equals hypoxic adaptation. In a nutshell, like without getting too complicated. So really sleep high and rest high, spend your day high. And you want north of 14 hours a day. Anything less than 14 hours a day, it's getting a bit difficult. But then, say you were like a runner here, you could just run on the track, and the track's at 2-3. But for us, I don't want to ride around about like a running track for 6 hours. So you kind of have to go down to sea level. But then, supposedly, your quality of training is better at sea level, or Granada's at like 1,000 meters. No, maybe less, 850. So yeah, your important bit is what you do outside your training, is you want to be at altitude.
Is that there's a hotel in Denver?
Yeah.
The altitude hotel, so you sleep in
Yeah.
an altitude chamber rather than sleeping in altitude.
Yeah, I think the hotels, I think that links back to what we were saying earlier, like a hypoxic chamber, like what they've got, where it's effectively like a tent is taking oxygen out. But I think, like, you've also got to factor in you're human. So say you live in the room and just train, you can't, if you're going for 14 hours a day, 8 of that sleep, you're not eating there, you're not, like, say you want to leave the hotel, go for a coffee.
Just sleeping.
Yeah, so to spend 14 hours a day, it's quite difficult. Yeah, you know, done the tent at home a few times, and you literally like, you got to go to bed at, so you go to bed at 8:30, you get a good 10-hour stint in it, get up, eat, ride, come back, maybe do like another 3-4 hour stint before having dinner, and then, I don't know, walking dogs and trying to get back in it for 8:30 again. It's not as easy as it sounds. I think maybe there's like a good adaptation to have if you're like at like 1800 meters and you're like I was saying the other day, the Colombian's born at 3.6, then getting back in it to sleep at plus 2.5, 2.6. But it's a lot of effort, and renting a tent, and they're not actually that cheap to run, quite expensive to run. They're frigging hot in summer.
What would you say for average Joe to do altitude? Is it worth it?
If the average Joe wanted to come to altitude, I would say look at what you're doing in terms of like your training already. If you're already 5 kilo overweight, probably don't bother, probably try and lose that 5 kilo. Or, you know, if you're running, I don't know, quite a dated bike, probably more gains to have from the bike as well. The bike's going to last you 2 or 3 years, where, I mean, this will kick up a bit of a debate. The gains from altitude only last about a week, like, but then you've also got to factor in those that when you have had that week's worth of gains, you've potentially almost trained above your baseline, so you're going to gain from that as well. But I wouldn't say, oh, you know, it's something that's like the be all and end all. But if you're, you know, already pretty committed and you're already, you know, training pretty well and bike's pretty good and you're already at a good weight, I think as well, like, the event you're training for has potentially got to suit the adaptation of altitude. Like, the gain you get from altitude is probably not going to help you masses in, say, I don't know, a 1 hour crit. Yeah, you're gonna get a gain, don't get me wrong, but the gain versus reward versus like a grand tour, like, you know, but like marathon running as well, I think you're gonna get a good kick out of that. But I just think there's a lot of other things you might want to do, or perfect a few other areas first. But as well, it's not cheap to come and do this. Like, the cost of it, and if you haven't checked out our video on what it costs to be a professional bike rider, there's more of a breakdown of it there. But the hotel we stayed in with the team was about €250 a night for hotel and 2 meals a day. So you think, okay, that might be misleading because that was ski season, where you could probably get an Airbnb outside of ski season for X, Y, and Z. So you got to come here, got to fly here, you got your flights. They're not easy places to get to. Not easy to shop while you're here, so you probably need a car. They're not cheap camps, so it's whether you want to. You're probably not looking at far off $2,000 by the time you've done your altitude camp. So then you've got to say, okay, well, what's a day at a wind tunnel going to cost me, or a morning? Ballpark figure, $2,000. Are you getting more out of your day at the wind tunnel than you are at altitude? Or $2,000, probably looking at a decent set of wheels or something, you know? Are you looking at, is that a better ROI? And also, like, you can come to altitude, it can be an absolute flop. It's not a guarantee. It's like a fatigue versus training ratio. So you could come here, get it completely wrong, bend yourself around a pole, go to your event and just be useless. So it's not like you come to altitude and you're going to get a guaranteed gain like you would from a wind tunnel or from a set of wheels or something. So if the average Joe wants to do it, I'd say watch this video, like and subscribe, and we'll make more videos on altitude so you can get it right. Days like today, it's just a waiting game. You're just like riding, but you're going so slow. What are you eating, boys? Hi, mate. What are you eating? Nice bit of gravel. Good man. Keep you lean, that will. Shit U-turn that was, boys and girls. Absolute amateur. So the running track you can see and the sports centre is where Ingebrigtsen, I think. Sorry mate if I've butchered your name, but we do, if you want to come and appear on Cycling Shorts, I've had an idea. You can do a 10-mile time trial on my bike, and I'll run a 5,000 metres in your shoes, and the person who gets closest to the other's PB from a percentage point of view wins. We'll call that one Rogan and that one Josh. Look at the antlers on that bad boy. 2517. It's getting high. Oh, here he is. Here's my boy.
We've made it to the cafe. We've done an hour and about an hour and 15 minutes. So using the golden rule of a 50-50 ratio, we've got to be here for at least an hour and 15 minutes. but no worries, because you guys have submitted some questions, so we're going to do a Q&A. So we'll grab a brew from the shed, or the tuck store, whatever it was, and then we'll sit down and do this Q&A.
Uno Fanta Naranja and uno Fanta Lemon.
And what do you want, Chief?
Just a Coke.
Coke Zero or
Coke.
Una Coca-Cola.
Not get a coffee.
From that machine.
I'll bring it. I don't know.
Cool. Where should we start? What should we start with? We'll start with _Daniel_Jones28 _. I think you probably ought to get another underscore in there, mate. How to train the gut. I find plus 80 grams of carbs struggle to consume on the bike. Yeah, it's popular in the sport at the minute in terms of like everyone's going down this high carb route and consuming masses on the bike, and everyone's a little bit different. Some people can consume it, some people can't. So how to train it? I'd probably say start by building up to it. Don't just think, all right, okay, so I've got to train to eat 80 grams of carbs, so I'm just going to go out for the next 4 days, I'm just going to eat 80 grams of carbs. So I think maybe like pick your sessions as well, because you'll need to train your gut on harder sessions, for example. So say you've got rest day 3 days, rest day 2 days, let's say, and you're going to do endurance, efforts, endurance, and then rest, and then efforts and endurance. So there's really intense days. You can start by doing 60, 70 for like the first week, and then work your way 70 to 80 and 80 to 90, and then work your way up. I'd also say like it's really easy to do it, or much easier to do it using a product like we have our sponsors Amax, where the products are designed to be 30 grams of carbs per item. So I know that if I have 2 gels and a bottle of mix, there's my 90 an hour. So like mathematically it becomes so much easier for me to calculate how I'm doing it, as opposed to thinking, oh, I've got to weigh a bit of saurine loaf or a bit of Battenberg, or okay, I've had a wrap with some jam on, like let's quickly calculate it out, and then I'm wrapping it all in tin foil. I understand as well that like buying specific nutrition products is probably quite expensive, so something you maybe want to sub is, say, a banana, for example. You could sub a banana in and out. You'd have to eat a pretty big banana to get 30 grams of carbs in it, but you would do it. You could do it. I wouldn't say do it solely on bananas. That could get a bit hectic. I'd also say like be prepared to find the limit, whether it means it comes out that end or comes out that end. There is like finding the limit means finding the limit is the consequences of the consequences. So I think a gradual build up, not a just right, okay, I'm eating 80 grams of carbs, let's go and eat 80 grams. Practice, probably try and use more nutritional products, because they are designed with a little bit less sodium and or the right ratios of varying things to try and not upset the gut. And also maybe what you've eaten before might help a little bit. So like if you have a breakfast, a lot of people will have like a high carb breakfast, and you could have a high carb breakfast in theory. You could just sit there and eat a tub of jam. It would be a high carb breakfast, but the way your stomach like will digest that, so maybe try and consume a little bit fats in your breakfast to slow that digestion down, and then on the bike use your nutritional product. I think as well, something that people forget is you do need to consume a fair amount of water with a lot of these products. So there's certain products that are using certain ratios. So for example, like Amax have the Turbo line, which is what we use, which uses a specific glucose to fructose ratio, which is more carbs. It is effectively like what SIS have is Better Fuel, is the same, it's this glucose to fructose ratio, but you need to consume, if you consume 1 bottle of Amax Turbo, you need to consume 1 bottle of water with it. It doesn't carry enough water in it to be digested, unlike say the Amax Energy line, where that's effectively pure glucose, sugar and water. So the water is allowing you to digest it. So consuming enough water for your gut to also digest that drink or product or whatever, that you can't just expect your stomach to absorb it if it doesn't have the water in there. So water, gradually build up and practice, and be prepared to find the limit. Maggie HTFC May. HTFC, what football club's that? That's your mum? What music helps with training? For training, I'd say variety. Is having a different playlist, different things to go through, potentially some new things that might be a good idea, that kind of stuff. Warming up and racing, maybe something to get you in the zone that's maybe a little bit faster. I'm not really a fan of any rap or anything like that, so I steer clear of that. So that would be training is variety. Passy, spelled P-A-S-S-S-Y-Y. How has started eating meat affected your cycling? This could be quite a long-winded answer, so I'll try and wrap it up reasonably quick. It can be seen as both negative and positive. I don't think you could necessarily pin one down and say it has done this, it hasn't done that. The biggest thing I have noticed going back to eating meat is convenience, and all the veggies will be there in the comments saying, oh, that just means you can't be bothered. Going through airports and stuff like this and knowing that you can sort of get enough nutrition. Yeah, you can plan ahead, but we travel so many days a year and we do so many race days that convenience and time become quite an important factor. Not stressing about certain things and just being able to go through things a lot easier. I don't necessarily think there's a reduced quality. Maybe there's a reduced quality in certain places, but generally speaking, I found the convenience. Never struggle for protein, never struggle for iron before. All these people saying, oh, I felt really tired when I went veggie, I was amazing and all that. I never felt any of that. Can't personally testify to things like that, but I just think for me the best thing has been convenience and ease of eating, as opposed to like varying other things. And I don't agree that a vegetarian or a vegan diet is necessarily always healthier. I think if you look at the way fashion of nutrition is going, people are saying that ultra-processed food is often the worst things for you. And if you look at 90% of vegetarian stuff, majority of it's ultra-processed. Things like falafel and stuff like that, they are literally the definition of ultra-processed food. We can then go down the route of there is processed food, ultra-processed food, ultra high processed food, and which category you would then put things in. So, for example, like vegetarian sausages, for example, they are also the definition of an ultra high processed food. I'm trying to steer away from a lot of that stuff, and obviously it's quite difficult because, like we were saying with the nutritional products, they are also the definition of ultra high processed food. I'm not necessarily going to sit here and say that a vegetarian or vegan diet is... What the hell is going on in this car park today? Let all these people rev their engines. He's given up, he's had enough. Who's your cycling hero or was as a kid? So I grew up in that, I was born in '96, so I got into cycling and my idol through cycling was Armstrong. That was it. I bought a fake set of Oakleys off the Lucky Men on a beach in Mallorca. I bought the cheapest set of Mavic asking wheels I could find. I had a little set of Nike shoes, all because Armstrong did. I really wanted a little Trek frame as well. I had a really little United States Postal Service jersey. So definitely like Armstrong was the man when I was a kid. And then it obviously all became a little bit controversial, and it's a bit weird now because like looking back, I've made a career out of something that I love doing. I idolised on someone that I loved, and then actually it's all a lie. So like my whole childhood, my whole reason I wanted to do this is all a non-existence. It's not a real thing. But then again, a lot of people make decisions on things that aren't real. So as a kid, I looked up to Armstrong, and then later on, I think maybe Brad became sort of filled that role a little bit later, as I sort of not tried to distance myself from Armstrong, but obviously there's a few things that maybe were better to move on and leave behind. So yeah, as a young kid, I was Armstrong obsessed, and then became quite a fan of Wiggins as I got a bit older. Do you still have a love for the sport, or is it just a job? It's strange because I still have a passion for it. I still love it. But there are times when I think to myself, I wouldn't mind just not getting away from it, but there's my hobbies and stuff like that now. Sometimes I'm like, I've got to go out on the bike and do a shift for 6 hours on a Sunday, and I see, I don't know, my friends or people that, you know, my family are all into the motorbikes and stuff. They're all going a motorbike ride on Easter Sunday, but I've got to go and do 4, 5, 6 hour ride with efforts or whatever. That I do sometimes think, oh, I'd rather ride my motorbike than ride my push bike. But then also I'm very fortunate that I do something that I am passionate about and something that I do enjoy. There is still a love for it, but it does sometimes get hammered out of you a little bit if you're having a bit of a rough spot, but you just have to. I always tell myself, what else would I be doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be like, don't know, doing community time or something, community service if I wasn't. So like, it seems better than doing that. And then I also, you know, you got to kick yourself sometimes and say, what's so bad about this? Nothing's actually that bad, and you are doing what somebody else would love to do. Like people would do this for free. But no, yeah, there is still a love for it, but it isn't the same love that it was when I first got into bike riding, or first decided I wanted to be a bike rider. But you don't really decide you want to be a bike rider. You sort of just like, there's plenty of people out there that have decided they want to be it and will never get to do it. So it's not really that black and white. What's your favourite post-ride meal? There's a lot of maybe caveats to this question. Do I have to cook it myself after the ride, or is it someone else? I could come in off a ride and it'd be ready for me? Do both. So if I have to cook my own meal, probably do something like I did yesterday. Do the ham on quickly in the pan for 30 seconds, whack the eggs in, spin it round, get the egg in there to do an omelette. Ham on omelette where the ham on's just gone in the pan just a little bit before the egg, and it just brings out that like cured meat texture a bit more. And then just simple. I'm into pasta for lunch at the minute. I don't know why. I've had pasta for lunch the past few days, and that seems to be going down a treat. Another easy one is egg fried rice, because you can have rice left over and crack your egg in there. That's nice and easy. So if I was cooking it myself, one of them meals, if the option was to come in the door and someone have something done for me, if I could have a chef do me a fresh baguette, roast me a fresh chicken, and then do like I don't know, maybe a bit of bacon, do like a big BLT, like a bacon, lettuce, tomato, chicken sandwich, maybe something like that. Or when, you know, like a avocado puree chicken it has to be fresh bread though. It has to be fresh chef's bread. I'm not a supermarket bread person. If the bread's not gone off or started going stale after a few hours, then it's not fresh bread. It's not nice bread. Yeah, big old bocadilla, big good lunch. I mean, Sunday roast always goes down a treat. But what's a standout on bike experience that you can remember, such as the Tour de France? It's weird actually. A standout moment. There are moments that I look at or I see pictures, and I'm like, fuck, that's cool. Like I see pictures of Roubaix when I race there, and I'm like, that's got to be highlight moment. And then going over the top of the highest peaks in the Tour de France with Tadej Jonas, Wout van Aert, things like this. But truth be told, I've got no real recollection of them. Like my best memory is those pictures. Like I don't really remember it. I don't really know why. Whether you're just so ingrained and focused with the blinkers on in the moment that it actually all becomes a bit of a blur and it just completely surpasses you. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I think from pictures they look pretty good. Yeah, I don't know because maybe all I can see in that moment is just the person's cassette in front, and that actually looks the same all year round. Or whether you're just looking at your stem and just like, or whatever, or looking down at the Wahoo just for how much further to go. A defining moment in my career. There are a few little moments when I look back now and I'm like, wow, that was a big fork in the road and it shot off that way. But at the time, maybe I didn't realise, I didn't notice. So yeah, I think big moments were coming to EF. That obviously was that was a milestone moment that went from, okay, maybe there is a second opportunity here. I went to a Danish pro-continental team called Rewell and met my now agent, albeit at the time he was just managing or DS-ing the team. That was quite a landmark moment. Probably going to a lot of under 23, because I think at that point that then put the pathway into realistic place to become a professional bike rider. It's all right dreaming it and having a plan, and your plan can be, oh, I'm going to go to Ineos, I'm going to do 2 years and then win the Tour. It's not really a realistic plan. We're like going to Lotto under 23 and there's a clear development from that team to the pro team, from the pro team to here, blah, blah, blah. That was quite a moment where I thought, okay, yeah, then this could happen. There's obviously the raffle, Notts and Derby when I was 12, when Grandma won the winning ticket to the group set that got me that then SRAM then. So Grandma won a raffle and she won a SRAM group set. What was my grandma going to do with a SRAM group set other than give it to myself? So she gave it to myself, but that was then the contact to SRAM, and SRAM became like my first ever sponsor, if you like. They didn't give me money to ride, but they provided me with equipment. So at that point it was like, oh, you know, kind of, that was the start of the journey really, which obviously quite a weird point in time. So yeah, there's quite a few, and maybe I'll look back in a few years and see points that have already happened, but didn't realise until way after that was actually a point in time where things changed. When will you fully commit to use the Puck Aero road helmet for a road race? I will one day. I'm still coming to terms with what modern cycling entails. Yeah, when I need to, I think. I think if I'm in a position where I feel like it's going to cost me not to wear it, yeah, then I'll invest. I still like the look of a normal conventional helmet as it was, so I tend to roll around in that quite a bit. So one day. I don't know when it'll be, but it's probably getting a little bit late now because they get quite warm. So it probably won't be this year, but one day. What is your favourite mountain to climb? Favourite mountain to climb? I'm not sure I necessarily have a favourite, actually. I think maybe more like your favourite region of mountains to climb might be the Alps are good. I think the Alps are good because they bring like a bit of iconic status because they're such a key part of the tour, and they're such a key part of other bike races like Dauphiné or whatever, or varying things for me. And I think I also have a lot of good memories in the Alps. I've only ever really been there while I'm in good shape, which is always nice. Whereas like races like Pays Basque, I've only really ever done when I was in bad shape. And shape's a bit sort of like hard to categorise because, you know, there's a few years I crashed just before the race, so I went to Basque after a crash and hadn't ridden my bike for a few days, so then I was like obviously not riding as good as I could have been, or I had long COVID one year and I was still trying to battle through it and went to Basque, and I was so like where the Alps I've always had a clear run at things like that, which has always worked well. So yeah, Alpe d'Huez, that's quite an iconic one that holds a sort of a nice place in cycling for me. Having said that, I've only ever ridden up it once, which would have been a stage of Dauphiné 2018, maybe something like that. So I haven't actually done it that many times. But yeah, I think that would be my favourite mountain, just the amount of hairpins as well. It's quite a good one. And where you can also go from there, the other climbs you can do from there is pretty good. Favourite UK climb / route? From Doors 01308, UK route. So I've never actually ridden it on a push bike, but we did North Coast 500 on the motorbikes. That was quite good. But I feel like it's a bit of a cop-out because I've not actually ridden it on a push bike. Well, where I'm from in the UK, so born in Nottingham but grew up outside of
just outside of Nottingham on that Derbyshire border. It wasn't far or hard for me to get into the peaks. So I've got a few like sort of favourite routes around there, sort of the Mamtor, the Winnet, got like good cafe stops in Hathersage and stuff like that. I think around that sort of area, my UK home. I do love going out to other areas, like riding around Snowdon, that's quite good. Scottish Highlands, you start getting a bit far away, so that's getting a little bit too much. I don't like riding in the south, like Box Hill, stuff like that, it's not for me, don't like that at all. But having done a fair few Tour of Britons now, how many Tour of Britons I've done? 6, 7 Tour, no maybe not, 5 or 6 Tour of Britons maybe now, that I've had a good crack at riding a fair few different places. National champs every year, national champs on the Isle of Man that year, but I think there's like a bit of a home comfort really from UK, Mamtor, Peak District, Castleton, Hathersage, Hope Valley, Snake Pass, over the Strines, then Derbyshire Dales, this kind of stuff. I think that's the best UK area for me. Who's the most talented rider I've ridden with? I think this is like a little bit, I was going to say I'm fortunate enough to ride in the Tadde area, but maybe I'm unfortunate riding in the Tadde area because he's just so much better. He's one of the best, he's one of the most physically, naturally gifted riders I think I've ever ridden with, or I say ridden with, I don't see much of him because he goes past and I just sort of sit there swinging. In terms of like reading a race, Blythe, I think he's the most gifted bike racer. Like his ability to like look at a breakaway and go, that one's not going to the finish, and go, that one's not going to the, because you often attacks going and breakaways going, and you can't go with everyone. You can't burn that many matches. You can't shoot that many bullets. You've got to pick your one that you're going to go with. So you edge your bets on the break you think's going to go. So you've got to sort of calculate a little bit on who's in it, how fast to go. Do those riders suit that type of distance for that course? This kind of thing. And you've all got to make that in a split second. And Blythe seemed to have this ability to know and predict really well who was going to get there and who wasn't. So that was quite a skill. I raced a little bit right at the end of his career, at the beginning of mine, with Sagan. Sagan had this like waft around the bunch that was really impressive. He seemed to go far. But then I think there's loads of bike riders that had heaps of talent that never actually went as far as they could. Current teammate that's packing the most. I mean, Ben's up there at the minute, isn't he? I think Archie Ryan, he could be, in a few years, I think that name might pop up. I mean, nobody on the team made it here without being an incredibly talented bike rider. You don't end up here on accident. There's years of hard work and talent and dedication that's gone into these things. But putting one person down as the best, I mean, Carapaz, I think, he's pretty impressive because he won't understand this because it's in English and he'll claim he doesn't speak English. But like from a natural ability point of view, he's pretty advanced because he doesn't seem to. Some guys you meet and they're like, these are the lines to be a professional bike rider and you don't step out of them. Where he's like, if I want to train today, I will. If I don't want to train today, I won't. But yeah, from a natural ability point of view, goes very far. One thing I wish I'd learnt now. So what would I go back and tell younger James? That's weird because I don't regret any decisions I've made. Would I go back and do things differently if I was going to go back and do them again? Yeah, there's things I'd go back and do differently, but I don't regret anything I did. Would I have gone to Lotto as young as I did? Probably not. I think that I was told by a few people to spend another year as an amateur, and I understand that now, but I was like, at the time, you've been offered a contract on, my first contract was €40,000, and I've been riding on a team where it's been costing me €8,000 a year. It seemed stupid to not accept the offer, but at the time it seemed amazing. But now I look back on it and I think if I'd have not taking the 40 there, I could have easily made it up elsewhere, but that caused a ripple effect that then affected the rest of my career. So I think there's things I would do differently. I don't regret signing the contract to go into Lotto. Like, I've made good friends that I still talk to today, made enemies that I don't talk to today, and learned things that I learned the hard way. But I also had the privilege to ride for that team, and like, that's in cycling, riding for Lotto. I don't know what the equivalent is in other sports, but it's the longest running, well, it was the longest running World Tour professional team. It is like the old school Belgian mentality. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it may be different, but you know, it was it's quite an iconic team. You know, they've had some iconic kits, some iconic riders, some iconic results. So I did have that privilege as well. But yeah, I probably would go back and advise younger James to maybe try and maybe lose the battle, win the war. Could be the expression. Is this the end of part 2? I don't know how this is going to end. Okay, do you want me to do an outro now? So, I've got to rush home now. I've got to go and get a haircut. Or maybe I don't. Let us know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because that's the only way we can continue to make this happen. Might be part 1 of this video is linked here. And yeah, thanks for watching.